Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Daniel Hendrick Experience. I am super glad you're here and super excited about this artist that we have on the show today. This is a first for the podcast. This is the first time we've had a countertenor on. And this time, all the way from Europe, we have the Swiss countertenor by the name of Elmar Hauser. And Elmar is basically just starting his career, but what a beautiful voice and what a different equation for a tenor like myself to hear a countertenor. And I am super excited to speak with Elmar about all of the performances he has coming up in Europe and his recent successes over there, which are pretty remarkable. For those of you, ladies and gentlemen, that are visiting for the first time, this is the Daniel Hendrick Experience, and we interview world-famous opera singers and sometimes psychologists, and we get behind the scenes and talk about stuff that makes singers kind of tick. That I find super fascinating. I love the psychological part of high-end international performance. And eventually, hopefully, we're going to have athletes on and different performing artists like ballerinas, etc., just to talk about what it takes to be at that international level and be able to maintain it. Well, today we have this up and coming young countertenor by the name of Elmar, and I'm really looking forward to speaking with him about his career and how this whole thing started. How did he become, quote, a countertenor? And for those of you out there who don't know what a countertenor is, it's really someone singing up in the falsetto voice, and it's almost like a mezzo-soprano and a tenor mixed together. And it's very exciting and fascinating for me. How in the world does that even work? How does that happen? So looking forward to talking to Elmar. And folks, you can always find the podcast at danielhendrick.com. If you're looking to watch a video of it, you can always go to YouTube and type in The Daniel Hendrick Experience. And there you'll find the video of these podcasts, usually a day or two after the podcast comes out. So without any further ado, I am really excited to talk to Elmar about his development and this whole genre of countertenor. So let's just bring in this extraordinary artist, Elmar Hauser. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as advertised right here on the Daniel Hendrick Experience, we have back with us the infamous, the incredible countertenor, the Swiss magic maker of countertenorism right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not say counterterrorism. I said tenorism. We have the Swiss countertenor with us, Elmar Hauser. Amigo, fratello mio, mein Freund, Dankeschön, mille grazie, muchas gracias, all of those things. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Daniel.
And where are you right now?
Right now, I am in northern Germany, in the city of Kiel.
Aha.
Yes, which is located about 1.5 hours in the north of Hamburg.
Okay.
So yeah. And here I am rehearsing for our new production of Buddenbrooks, which will be a world premiere by composer Ludger Vollmer. Yes, so we're really working hard right now to getting everything together. So
wonderful. And is that a challenging role for you, or is it a easier role?
No, it is quite a challenging role because there are on one side there are 3 arias which are very very lyrical and very very beautiful and going for the big lines, and um, and they're quite special moments within this whole opera, because in these moments my role is actually singing in the play. So like for example, Voi che sapete,
Uh-huh.
where Cherubino is singing a song like this. Yes, my role, Hanno Buddenbrook, is singing for the other characters as an audience.
Wow.
So yes, and then apart from these three areas, there's another scene which is yeah, quite a big conflict with another character from this Buddenbrooks cast,
Mm-hmm.
which demands quite a different kind of singing, because it's not this very lyrical and um, yeah, fine singing, but more of a characteristic and yes, also um, quite yeah. There's a lot of acting going on in this scene, so
Mm.
it's yes, I would say it's a challenging role and a very nice role for me now to sing. So yeah, I'm very glad for this.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. And what is the name of the agency that you're with?
Johanna Herbst, Artists Management. Yes.
Okay. And how long have
Yeah.
you been with them?
Um, it's it's bit more than 1 year now.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
we got to know each other in Munich, where
Mm-hmm.
I studied for my masters until last summer, and yes, there we got to know each other, and it went on. Yeah,
Wonderful. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and she is the one. It's so funny because I had some other of my podcast people and fans reach out to me, and they were telling me that they had heard you on the internet.
yeah.
And I'm like, well, let me hear what this is all about. So I checked you out, and then serendipitously, through one thing or another,
Mhm,
she reached out to me and said, "Oh yeah," because
mhm.
I actually reached out to another agent, and that agent sent me to, and then your agent
Yeah,
reached out back. So,
yeah, yeah,
however that happened, I'm glad it did because you are the first countertenor that we've had on,
yeah,
and you and I spoke before,
yeah,
folks. You don't know about that. We had a disaster here at the program, but
yeah.
um, and I told you how fascinated I am with you because me being a tenor my whole life and studying
Mhm,
voice and being passionate about technique
mhm.
and me singing up there and playing a little bit with what you do all the time,
Yeah.
it's just fascinating. And I know that you were like a boy soprano when you were young, but then you were a tenor. How did you make that switch? And why did you make that switch?
So the switch from tenor to countertenor. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, yes. Um, well, I've been when I was in my high school years. I
Mm-hmm.
did some musicals at my local school.
Uh-huh.
Uh, there was a music teacher who wrote and composed musicals by himself, and
Mm.
we were playing these, and so there I was getting more and more fascinated with singing and playing on stage, and I from there I went to have my first singing lessons. Um, where we first thought that I was a tenor, but I've always had in mind that that I've been a boy soprano back when I was a child, and also throughout throughout the years that in which my voice got lower, and throughout puberty, I managed to sing in this high register back in this choir, in this church choir where I sang. So when I when we worked in the singing lessons, and when we worked on my tenor voice, I've always it was very challenging, and I've always had in mind that once singing was very easy for me, and then at some moment when I didn't have made the decision yet that I want to that singing is my profession, and I want to go on studying singing and becoming a musician. Before I decided this, yes, we just started to experiment with my teacher back then, and he was very very open to all kinds of different different sounds that you can make with your voice. He was really into improvisation and into
Awesome.
yeah.
So he
And
was out of the box, right? Yeah, out of the box of
yeah,
conventional
and
singing.
yes, and so, but at the same time, he really had um, this classical upbringing and this approach, as he was an opera singer himself. So um, so we just started to experiment, and um, when he heard my countertenor voice the first time I sang there, like I had the feeling that I am just singing in the same way that I've been singing throughout my childhood and
Childhood.
puberty. And
Yes.
so yes, what he heard was a um, very natural sound, and very yeah sound that wasn't pushed in any direction. And so and I also felt for myself that yeah, that's just so easy for me to do, and
Amazing.
and also then so easy to express what I wanted to express in the in this in through this countertenor voice. And yeah, that's when he started to show me some repertoire that I could
Wow.
sing, and that I could dive into. And yeah, I really did that. I was I was I was um, I was watching YouTube videos of
Sure.
countertenors all night
Uh-huh.
long, and oh, you can do this, you can do that. How amazing is this, and how amazing is that? And yes, and this was also really my the time when it became clear to me that I want to really dive into this
Wow.
direction as a profession as well. So yeah, that was
Fantastic.
kind of
Well,
yeah.
if you don't mind, let's share a little bit of what you do. We have a recording of you here of Ombra Maifu. Do you remember where that was at and what it was all about?
Um, that was back at my back at my university where I did my master's degree, and we've had the opportunity to make some recordings like once or twice in a semester, just for our portfolio and for yes to maybe have it on our website or to send it
Got it.
to competitions and etc. So yes, that's where this recording came from.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Handel's Ombra Mai Fu. Let's check it out. Elmar Hauser.
Rondi tenere e belle del mio platano amato, per voi risplenda il fato, tuoni, lampi e procelle non oltraggino mai la cara pace, ne giunga a profanarvi nostro rapace.
Bravo, my friend.
Thank you.
Truly beautiful art there, and just a beautiful tone. The way you float your voice is just, it's exquisite. You're going to be a star. I told you this last time we spoke. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Yeah, within a few years here, you're going to be world famous. I love it. So don't forget me when you become a star and they say, hey, do you know that podcast? You're like, what podcast? Never heard of it. Excellent. So for you, I mean, that is masterful what you're doing there. What is different from singing as a tenor than a countertenor?
Well, I really it's really a long time ago that I tried to be a tenor. So
Oh, okay,
I really
gotcha.
I think um, um, well for me it just for me it just didn't work out that way.
Got it.
And
Was it like a
yeah,
glove that just didn't seem like it fit?
yes, yeah,
But then when you were the countertenor, it felt like a glove that fit.
yeah. Automatically, and
Amazing.
I think there were a few weeks when it was a bit oh, what am I doing here, what am I doing there, but after a short time I really felt like, hey, this is the way to go. And um, I love how um, you can like you can do this as well as a tenor, to have really um, delicate colors, and to really to really feel your pianos and your pianissimo sounds, and that's actually what I love most, and that's also a thing um, that you can use a lot with your as a countertenor, and so I think that's one thing that I love about it. Um, yeah, apart from the beautiful repertoire, and yeah, apart from that, it just feels so good and natural to me. Like, yeah,
It
I
sounds
just
like it. It sounds like it. Yes. Wow. That is
thank you.
wonderful. Good for you. So, what did your family think about you becoming an opera singer?
Yeah, um, they they're actually like both of my parents. They are they are music lovers, and they love classical music, and they they love to go to concerts and everything. Um, so like this wasn't a completely um, strange world to them.
Okay.
So um, yeah, but either way, yeah, they had um, their thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had my thoughts about it too. Like I that was also what my first teacher told me, that well, that if you are going to decide for a career as a musician, it's going to be very hard. It's not going to be an easy life,
Yes.
and but it's it can be a life that fulfills you, and that
Mm-hmm.
that's full with beautiful experiences through the
Yes.
music that you're singing, and through everything that you're dealing with. Uh, so yeah, and there have absolutely been times um, when I wasn't sure, is this really the right path for me, and when I also talked to my parents what they thought about it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's actually when that actually was when they encouraged me to go on, and I'm very grateful for that. I know many colleagues who have had not such an
Yes.
easy time with their parents when they decided to become a musician. So I'm really more than grateful for that, and for the
Excellent.
and for the support I was getting and am getting also right now from my family, from my parents, and from my
and
surroundings. So
it's one thing to say, okay, I want to be an opera singer.
yeah,
It's another thing to say, I want to be a countertenor. That's a newer ingredient, even though it's historically been around forever. It's not been in the consciousness of society as much.
yes, that's true. And maybe it was a lucky thing that that we've actually had a CD, a recording of Andreas Scholl at our home. So so that was
helpful.
that was helpful. Maybe So everyone knew that this existed.
Okay.
And that it's also it's just a voice type like soprano or tenor, and it's not a completely strange thing. So
unless you're American, over here it's pretty unheard of, right? Unless you're in the opera community like I am, and of course,
and I mean, of course, it's a challenge, but also a beautiful thing. I think that when almost every time when I'm singing a concert, that there are people in the audience who have never heard a countertenor. I think almost every time there are some people there who have never heard a countertenor, and to whom it is totally
new.
Totally new, and a thing they have never experienced like that. And of course, I am going on stage. I have a beard, and everyone is expecting a low voice.
That.
Yes. Everyone is expecting something like that, and then something completely different is coming out of my body. So but that's also a thing that I'm always kind of aware of when I sing my first few notes on stage, that it might be strange to some of the people there.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing a tenor doesn't have to deal with, or doesn't. Maybe if you're having a concert somewhere completely out of the opera context, or out of the field of classical music, then you have similar reactions. But yes, I think it's also a chance that that it's something something that's not heard every day, and not common, and
and you get to share it with people, and maybe perhaps expose them for the first time to a beautiful art form, and that's a gift that you have that not many people have. I know a little bit of the experience you're talking about, it being in front of audiences that are shocked by what you do, because a lot of places in the United States, people have never even heard opera at all. And then when I open my mouth and do something just for fun, they're like, "What the hell is that?" Because all they've heard is opera from the cartoons and stuff in the background, playing and doing stuff, and know that's not really a true example of the beauty of what opera is.
Yes, and also that it's an art form that has to be performed live in front of an audience, and you have to hear a voice in the analog world to really appreciate it, and to I think of course recordings are are an amazing thing,
Yes.
but it can never
No.
substitute the live performance. So yeah.
Absolutely. I remember in 2004, I sang with the Istanbul Symphony in a 2,000-year-old amphitheater that the Romans built.
Yeah. Okay.
And here is this amphitheater filled with 7,000 people
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
80-piece orchestra, and
Yeah.
me with no microphone,
Yeah.
and the voice just went. My wife was on top of the theater just to hear, and I
Yeah.
could talk to her, and it just was like, hello, hello. So easy the voice carried. And then
Yeah.
to have that, a natural acoustic, you cannot simulate that digitally. That experience you can't feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because sound
Oh,
is
wow.
coming from every possible direction, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Verona in Italy, right? It has that same acoustical mastery of sound that the Romans built. Many of those, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank God for recordings, because it's helped to expose opera around the world and countertenors as well. But it is not the same as hearing it live. There's something about acoustic sound.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like an acoustic guitar versus an electric guitar. It's a totally different experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
An acoustic piano
Exactly.
versus a digital piano, totally different experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to hear you live, and I'm sure someday I'll be able to fly over somewhere. Or when you're singing at the Metropolitan Opera, I'll come and hear you here. Whatever that is. I don't know if I asked you last time if you had seen the movie Farinelli. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yes, you actually asked me, and I haven't seen it, and I also didn't watch it after we talked about it. But now, as you're telling me again, I think I will
Check it
watch
out.
this film. I will absolutely check it out. Yeah, no, I just had just seen a scene from it on YouTube,
Okay.
where Farinelli is singing Lasciati pianga in this
Yes.
theater there, this famous scene. I've seen this, and I think that was also during these nights of watching every countertenor YouTube video I could find that I told you of.
Got you.
And I was fascinated and read that they merged a countertenor sound with a mezzo-soprano sound,
Yes.
like digitally
Yes.
one into another to create this unique sound. For the film.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's
And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking
nice
about a
film.
movie called Farinelli, which came out probably 20 or 30, probably more like 30 years ago. And it's about the last castrati. And countertenors now sing some of the castrati repertoire. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. In Baroque opera, it was common that the castrati sang these roles. There, in every Baroque opera, there is a primo uomo, and with the prima donna and the primo uomo, and
Uomo,
almost every time the primo uomo was a castrato. They were incredibly famous in their time, and all the big composers we know, like Handel, Vivaldi, everyone wrote for them. Also Mozart and young Mozart.
Mozart, I've never heard of him. Who was that?
Who's that? Yeah. Yeah. And so that's actually a big field in the countertenor repertoire, because there are no castrati anymore, lucky enough.
Right.
So that's that's a point of decision a production has to make. Do we want a countertenor for this specific role, or do we want a mezzo-soprano or a contralto for this role? In most of the cases, both is possible. So
Yes.
yeah. So
Wow.
it's
Wow.
really up to this decision what you
Uh-huh.
prefer for the role, what you prefer as a director. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I noticed on your Ombra Mai Fu, when you came down to the lower notes, you were mixing it with chest voice a little bit. Was that an easy thing for you to do, or did
um,
you have to work on that quite a bit?
I had to work on this quite a lot.
Okay.
And for quite a long time, because of course it's you can do it in some way, but I really think that the goal is to have this transition between head voice and chest voice as smooth as possible, and to blend one into another. So yeah, that was really a lot of technical work to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
how do I how does my head voice get this chest resonance down in the low register, and how does my chest voice in the passaggio get how does it get this head resonance so that they can really um, blend into each other.
Blend. Yes.
Yeah, I
So
think. Yeah.
so folks, for those of you that are not familiar what we're talking about here, I'll demonstrate to you and show you how I cannot do what he can do. So when he's up there in the head voice, it sounds like this. Here, when I did that pop, when I came in the chest voice, he has a way of going and somehow going into that next stage, but it blends so beautifully. And tenors have that falsetto, but then when they go into the chest, there's this gap. And how you have done that is really remarkable, brother. Wow.
Thank you.
Pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
So, and that's hard to figure out. What is that mechanism in there? Does it feel
Yeah.
like the sound goes to a different place when you come
Yeah.
down?
Totally. It feels like a completely different place. Even if
Okay.
it even if it doesn't it maybe doesn't sound like it, but it feels like a completely different place. If I'm approaching the same note in my head voice and trying to adjust some chest resonance to it, it feels like a completely different thing than approaching the same note in my chest voice with a very uh, head resonance in it.
Aha.
It feels
Yes.
completely different, but it sounds not that different. But
Got it.
I think the feeling is really stays the same. I think it's a totally different mechanism.
And does your breath support change from that head voice to your chest? Or does it feel like you maintain the same kind of support?
I think I feel like I maintain the same kind of support. Um, I think it would be different if I would try to go higher in my chest voice.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think then it would need a totally different kind of support.
Yes.
But as I'm doing this, like as I'm, and it's also almost always a decision I have to make. Like in this tone, I am going to sing. I am going to sing in my chest voice. On this tone, I'm going to sing in my head voice. And
Wow.
when I um, when I when I don't decide it, it just happens in a way which works out most of the time as well. But yes, there really are the moments where I have to remember and maybe even mark in my notes, in my scores, that that this tone I have to sing more in chest voice, this tone more. Yeah,
in
it's
head voice, yeah.
kind of a technical work there.
So you have like a roadmap reminding you, don't do this, do that, because if you do this, then you're going to get in trouble, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes also I'm planning. I'm planning how to approach my passaggio in this specific song, and then when I have a rehearsal with all the instruments, or with the acting on stage, it's from one moment to the other completely different thing, and I have to adjust to the new situation, and to maybe sing it completely in a different way than I planned to do it. So yeah.
Amazing. Oh. Thus, being a professional opera singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found over the years too, different theaters would cause me to adjust, and different size orchestras would cause me to adjust, and you have to have a margin of being able to go one direction or another a little bit.
Yeah.
And not always just have one option. You need a couple of options.
Yeah, I think so too.
Fascinating.
And then also,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, and then also maybe you're trying something out in the rehearsal on the spot, and it doesn't work. It completely doesn't work. And then maybe you get nervous because maybe you think, oh, does the conductor think that I can't sing this properly, or but you really, I think you really have to be open to adjust to these moments, and then to find your way for it, and and to find your best way for the performance then. So
wonderful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear a really interesting piece. Can you explain to us what this is, Elmar?
Yes, this is a aria by Antonio Vivaldi, by Farnace, aria from Farnace, from the opera Farnace.
Yes.
And it's a Gelido in ogni vena is the name of it. Like in every vein, my blood is freezing. And yes, it's an incredible aria and an incredible moment within this opera. Yes, totally freezing music as well, because Vivaldi managed to put some of his winter from his four seasons into the aria, so it's kind of in the same
vein.
Yeah, in the same vein.
Okay.
Yeah, so
all right, let's check it out. Here we go. Wow.
Thank you.
Once again, super, super beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. I'm kind of jealous, to tell you the truth, because I've always played with that voice up there, right? And
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
imitations of Vici d'arte, the soprano
yeah, yeah,
aria,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
so fun. I'm just
yeah, yeah.
envious of what you get to do, and a lifetime of doing it in front of
Yeah.
you. Kudos to you. So tell us what you have coming up after this opera that you're in right now. What's next?
I this premiere here in Kiel will be in 3 weeks,
Hmm.
and after that um, I will yeah, come back to Kiel every 1 or 2 weeks for another show, and yeah, rehearsing for these competitions that I'm going to do, and also for some smaller concerts in my city and in the surroundings. So yeah,
Would you say that the music that you were exposed to in your school really benefited you as a human being?
definitely, definitely, definitely. Yes, I would never want to miss that. It has been also you're studying such you're studying so hard, doing mathematics and languages, and your head needs something different also, and your soul, and yeah, you as
Mm.
a human being, you need to sing, you need to make music, everything. That's incredibly important, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Well, Elmar, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thank you again
it's
for
been a
taking
pleasure.
the
It's been my
time.
pleasure. Yeah.
Ah,
Thank you. Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You are a beautiful singer, and
Thank you.
your technical mastery is evident on the recordings. So,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, check him out on YouTube, Elmar Hauser. And your last name is spelled Hauser, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And thank you again for being on the podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being on the Daniel Hendrick Experience every Sunday, interviewing famous opera singers from around the world. And today was a special surprise, the first countertenor on the show, Elmar
Yeah.
Hauser. So if you want to hear the podcast live, go to danielhendrick.com and just click on the podcast. And also become a subscriber, if you would, please. And then, if you want to see the video of this handsome young man, you can go to YouTube and see it on the Daniel Hendrick Experience on YouTube. It's all there. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, God bless all of you, and see you again. Take